Guys, welcome back to reading class. It is now 2021. We are starting a brand new semester, a brand new 9 weeks. I hope you guys had a fabulous Christmas break and got to enjoy a few weeks off from school. We are going to go ahead and jump right into what it is that you're going to be working on in reading class for this week. I think it's going to be a pretty easy week for you, which is nice since we're coming back off of a long break and we only have 4 days of school this week. So that's kind of a nice little treat. Let's go ahead and get started with our learning goal for this week. You guys can read it with me. I am learning to use context clues to figure out the meaning of unknown words. So this week, our goal is going to be to figure out what we do when we come to an unknown word in the text. And I guarantee that every single one of you guys as students, and even me as a teacher and reader myself, have been reading and you've come to a word that you didn't know. Maybe heard of it before, but you weren't really sure what it meant. And so that's what we're going to be doing this week is we're going to be using something called context clues to help us when we come to those difficult words to figure out what it is that we do and how we can figure out what that difficult word means. So we're going to start today just by going through some slides to help us figure out what context clues are and how we use them. So context clues, what are they? Context clues are bits of information from the text that, when combined with your prior knowledge, or we call that our schema, allow you to decide the meaning of unknown words in the story or article that you're reading. So as a reader, you must act similar to a detective and put together those clues from the sentences surrounding an unknown word in order to make an intelligent guess as to what the definition of a word is. We also call that making an inference. When we take clues from the text and we put those together with our background knowledge or our schema, things that we already know, to help us make a good guess as to what that word means, okay? So there are many different type of context clues that an author may give us when we're reading. So we're going to look at 3 examples today, and then we're going to practice and see if we can use those clues to help us figure out some unknown words in the text. So the first type of context clue is a direct definition context clue. These are the easiest to find. That's when the author basically gives us the meaning of the text, the exact definition right there in the text. Okay, so let's look at some examples. The first one says, there are many theories or ideas about what made the Ice Age happen. So our unknown word is theories in this sentence. Well, the author gives us the meaning of the word theories right next to it in those commas. It says theories or ideas. So the author tells us that theories and ideas mean about the same thing. So theories are different thoughts or ideas that people have about something. That's pretty easy to find because it was right there beside that difficult unknown word, right? And sometimes the author, when they use this type of context clue, they put it in commas right beside that difficult word. So that makes it easier to find. Okay, let's look at another example. It says, after a time, glaciers or slowly moving rivers of ice formed over many parts of the earth. So our unknown word in that sentence is glaciers. And again, right beside that unknown word, inside commas, the author gives us a direct definition context clue. It says, or slowly moving rivers of ice. So if we didn't know what a glacier was, the author tells us right there, a glacier is a slowly moving river of ice. So that's one type of context clue that we can look for as we're reading. If we have a word that's difficult, look for a direct definition clue where the author just gives us the definition right there. Okay, the second type of context clue we're going to look at today is a synonym context clue. And these are words that mean the same or nearly the same as that difficult word. A synonym is a word that means the same. So an example would be angry and mad. Those words mean about the same thing, right? So sometimes if there's a difficult word, the author will give us a synonym for that word in the text. So let's look at some examples. It says, after seeing the picture of the starving children, we felt compassion or pity for their suffering. So in this sentence, our difficult word was compassion, and the author gave us a synonym that means almost the same thing, and that word is pity. And sometimes when the author uses a synonym clue, they'll use the word or. So it says, we felt compassion or pity. Okay, so that tells us that compassion and pity mean about the same thing. Let's look at another example of a synonym context clue. It says, Mary admonished her students, and they knew they were in hot water for their actions. So the difficult word was admonished. That might be a new word for you. You may not know what it means, but the author gave us a synonym, or actually kind of a group of words that act as a synonym, in hot water. And that means that they were cautioned or scolded, or the students were in trouble. They had done something wrong, okay? So a synonym context clue is when the author gives us a word that means about the same thing. All right, let's look at a third type of context clue, and that's an antonym context clue. So a synonym means the same, an antonym means the opposite. So hot and cold are antonyms, right? They mean the opposite of each other. So sometimes if there's a difficult word in the text, the author will give us an opposite word so that we can figure out the meaning of that difficult word. So let's look at an example. It says, Joe was reluctant to take the job of captain of the team. So our difficult word is reluctant. It says, he was afraid that the time it would take would hurt his grades. On the other hand, Billy was eager for the chance to be the team captain. Okay, so we have reluctant as our difficult word, and the author gave us an antonym to help us figure out what that word means. The antonym, and in this example, is eager. So if you're really eager to do something, that means you want to do it. You can't wait. If you're reluctant, that's the opposite. You don't really want to do it. You're kind of scared to do it, and you're not really sure that you want to do it. So the antonym of eager helps us to figure out the meaning of reluctant. So the third type of context clue was an anonym clue. So the first type was direct definition. The author just gives us the meaning of that difficult word. The second type was a synonym clue. The author gives us a word that means about the same thing. And the third type was an antonym clue, where the author gives us an opposite word. So we're going to practice these context clue skills that we've just learned to help us figure out silly sounding words in a text. Okay, so your friend Ryan has moved to a new country and is learning a new language. Read what he wrote in his diary and see if you can figure out the meaning of the underlined words. Okay, so some of these words are going to sound kind of silly as we're reading them, but we're going to use some context clues to help us figure out what these silly words mean. It says, Dear diary, I overslept this morning. I had to eat my bowl of poof poofs very quickly, and I almost missed the tram zam. Okay, so let's go back to that first silly word in the text, poof poofs. Could we use some context clues to help us figure out what poof poofs are? Okay, well, let's go back in the text and look at the words around it. First of all, it says, I overslept this morning. So this is happening in the morning, and he had to eat his bowl of poof poofs very quickly. Okay, I'm going to use my background knowledge here, and I'm going to use these clues to put this together to see if I can figure out what poof poofs are. Well, first of all, I know that something that he ate, so it's a food, and he ate it in the morning because it said he overslept in the morning, and he ate it out of a bowl. So using my schema, my background knowledge, I'm going to guess that poof poofs are a type of cereal based on the clues that the author gave me. Eating it in the morning, eating it out of a bowl, and it's a food of some kind. I know that most of the time when I eat something out of a bowl in the morning, it's cereal, okay? The second silly word was a tram zam. So I'm going to think using my schema, using the clues. I know that it's something that Ryan almost missed, and then it was in the morning. And if I read a little bit farther, it says when I got to school. So I'm going to guess or infer that a tram zam is the bus. because it was something that he got on in the morning. And after he got on the Trans Am, he was at school. So using my schema, my background knowledge, I can guess that a Trans Am is a bus. I'm going to read a little bit farther. We're going to look at 2 more words that we're going to try to figure out. It says, when I got to school, I realized I had forgotten my Zilping. Luckily, Miss Jutsi is very zoosh and told me I could bring it tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to see if I can figure out what Zilgping is. So it's something that he brought with him to school. So it could be maybe a folder, a notebook. And then Miss Jutsi told him that he could bring it tomorrow. So I'm thinking that it's probably maybe his homework. Something that he forgot at home, he left in a rush, he almost missed the bus, and it was something that was important that he had to bring, but his teacher told him that he could just bring it tomorrow. So I'm going to guess that Zilgping is homework. And the next difficult or unknown word is zoosh. So it says in the text that Miss Jutsi is very zoosh and told Ryan that he could bring it tomorrow. So I'm going to guess that zoosh might mean nice or kind or forgiving, because Ryan used that word to describe Miss Jutsi, and she had just let him bring in his homework the next day. So it wouldn't be mean or angry. So my guess is that zoosh means nice. So we just figured out 4 words. They were kind of nonsense sounding, but we were able to use the words around those difficult words to figure out what they meant, right? That's what context clues are, okay? So there was a few more words on there that were kind of silly. If you want to pause the video or go back, you could try to figure out those words on your own. The next thing that I want to do is I want to show you guys a vocabulary video. These are really, really fun, and they're really catchy. They have a really cool song that goes with them. And we're going to watch one for context clues. It's about 2 minutes long. Let me pull it up here for you. So as you're watching, see if you can figure out or learn a little bit more about what context clues are. Looks like it's being a little quick to load here. Okay. Still not wanting to load. Okay, I'm going to give it a little bit of extra time, and hopefully it'll load before we're done with our video. Okay, I want to take some time now to go over your assignments for this week, to try to help you figure out, or to make it a little bit easier on you, I guess. So I'm going to pull up your virtual assignment agenda for the week. This is posted on Class Dojo every week, so your parents can have it so that they can see what it is that you're working on. On Monday, January 4th, there's no school, so you don't have any assignments for that day. So for Tuesday, you have some workbook pages out of your iReady book. This video is the video that you're watching now, so you don't have to worry about clicking on that. So your workbook pages for Tuesday are 146 and 147. So this is lesson 9 in your iReady book. This is the very first lesson in Unit 3. So we're starting a brand new unit this week. And it's called Lesson 9, Unfamiliar Words. Here's your learning target. Context clues in the text can help you figure out the meaning of unfamiliar words. Okay, so you're going to be reading this little section here. It's going to ask you to circle any words that you do not know as you're reading. And then over here, you're going to be trying to figure out the meaning of the word essential in the text. Okay, so you're going to write down any context clues that help you figure out what essential means, and then you're going to write what you think the definition is of essential. Okay, so that's all you have to do for Tuesday. Okay, for Wednesday, January 6th, you have some more independent pages that you're going to be working on, pages 148 and 149 and 151. You zoom this out a little bit. So you're going to be reading this story, and I want you to do the same thing that you did for Tuesday's lesson. I want you to circle any words that you don't know, and then underline any clues that help you to figure out the meaning of those difficult words. Okay, the text is called Woof Woof, Read Me a Story. So after you've read through the text and you've underlined or circled any difficult words and underlined your context clues, you are going to be filling in this chart for the unknown word therapy. So go back in the text, find therapy, write down any context clues that can help you figure out what therapy means, and then you're going to write what you think the meaning of therapy is, okay? And you're also going to be working on page 152. You have a question here to answer. It says, use details from the article to explain how therapy dogs help children gain confidence. So confidence means to feel better about themselves. So you're going to reread paragraph 3 and use context clues to make sure you understand what confidence means. Okay. All right, the next day on Thursday, January 7th, your assignment is going to be to read pages 150 to 151 and then 153. So you're going to be reading this text, The Buzz on Sniffer Bees. And again, I want you to circle any unfamiliar words that you do not know and underline the context clues that help you to understand them. Then you have a couple of questions to answer over here on page 151. What's the meaning of antenna in the passage? So as you're reading, you might be looking for that word. And then you have another question to answer here on 151. And then you have a short answer question on 153. It says, describe the different ways sniffer bees can help humans. In your description, use some of the science words you learned from the passage. And you have a hint to go back and look at paragraph 4 and look for 3 things that sniffer bees can detect. That will help you to answer that question. All right, and your assignment for Friday is to work on pages 154 to 158. So you're going to be reading this text called Horses Helping Others. Okay, and it's a fairly long text. It's two full pages. And then you have some questions that you're going to answer about the text on 157 and on 158. Okay. And then there's one more thing for Friday. If you have internet access and if you can get onto Google Classroom, there's a quiz for context clues. I also want to show you that these other games and activities that you can do are also found on Google Classroom. So I want to show you how to get there. I'm going to share my screen with you here. Let's see if our vocabulary has loaded. Doesn't look like it. All right, we'll keep trying. All right, so if you go to our Google Classroom, Miss Weinberger's 3rd grade Google Classroom, and you go to classwork, and you scroll down, it says week 16 materials. That's this week, January 4th through the 8th. All of those kind of extra games and assignments that you can do to help you are listed right here. So this is a fun game called Lost Parents, and you have to use context clues to help you solve the clues. And on Friday, the context clues quiz is also going to be right here. So it's going to have you, if you click on that and then click on the form, it opens it up. There are 5 questions, and you're going to read them and see if you can figure out the meaning of those words that are in all capital letters by using the clues around those difficult words. Now that quiz won't be live, as you would say, until Thursday, because I want to give you a couple of days to practice, go through your iReady assignments before you take that quiz, okay? All right, guys, that's all that I have for you today. I'm sorry about our vocabulary. I don't know why it wouldn't load. That's okay, though. I think that you guys are going to do okay this week. Like I said, it's a pretty easy week coming back off of break. So as you're reading this week, you're looking for context clues, words in the text that will help you figure out that difficult or unknown word. I hope you guys have an awesome first week back. And I hope to see you guys in person soon. Have a great week.